Well, that's Jose Sanchez. I'm Grant Cohn. We cover the 49ers on SI, and we have an emergency show today because Nick Bosa is out for the year with an ACL injury. It's the right knee. He tore his left ACL in 2020. He tore his right ACL in high school, so it's his second torn ACL on this leg, third of his life. So we're going to break down, what this means for the Niners. Our heart goes out to Nick. This is a bummer. It's part of the sport, but it sucks when it happens. It's happened to him a few times. So I guess let's just get into it. How does this injury impact the Niners defense?
Yeah, I think that's a very brutal way to really have news if you're the 49ers. Since I remember tweeting it at the time, it's like, hey, if the 49ers win this game, it's going to be one of those where it doesn't feel like a win because you just lost Nick Bosa for the year. And the moment, and I don't know if you're able to see it, Grant, because obviously in the press box and on TV, they cut to him minutes later after he's on the sideline, putting the thumbs down to maybe a family member he acknowledges from the suite or nothing like that, or something like that. You just knew something was bad. I don't care what Shanahan said about initial tests say that's good because there's a thing called the Lockman test. As someone who has torn their ACL, they did this Lockman test where they pull your knee to kind of see how sturdy it is. And maybe it was kind of fine, but you never know until you get the test. So now what this does is what's the play he got injured on? He was double teamed, right? Who's going to be that lightning rod now? Is part of why Michael Williams and Bryce Huff has been dominated because of Nick Bosa, because you have that fly to a bright light that for the offense to be attracted to. So I'm very curious are these two guys going to have the same impact? Is it going to be easier to defend against them? And now also, if you're Robert Saleh, this is back-to-back seasons where you've coordinated the 49ers without Bosa. Do the football gods think Robert Saleh, you're too much of an OP, overpowered coordinator that we cannot allow you to have Bosa? This is a cheat code. This is not Grand Theft Auto. You cannot RB, left, right, up, down, your way to getting Nick Bosa to be an OP defense. This is not fair because this is just unheard of to have back-to-back years, in terms of what he's coordinated. So now you're without him. So last time he changed it to a coverage defense, right? They switched. They had Justin Verrett. They had Emmanuel Mosley, and they kind of have the corners now to do that too. But I think now this time they actually have a little more to do with the defensive front. So I think kind of it's just you're looking at your players to step up. Bryce Huff and Michael Williams, we drafted you and we traded you for a reason. Now let's see you be those impactful guys. It's now it's expedited where you want you to be at.
Yeah. It's going to be a tough one for this defense. That's all I really got to say. I mean, what's tough is when they have Saleh and Bosa together for a full season, they went to the Super Bowl, and it looked like this year, if you could have a full season of them together, you'd have one of, if not the best defenses in the league. Now, I still think they can have a good defense. Like you said, 2020, Saleh was in this position. And to me, what's interesting is Saleh thought he was going to get hired as a head coach after 2019. That was his best defense, but he didn't. And I think a lot of people looked at him as well, you have Nick Bosa. That's why your defense got good all of a sudden. Then Bosa went down, and he was able to put together a top 5 defense, at least in terms of yards allowed. And then people were like, oh, wow, it really is Robert Saleh. So the good news for the Niners is he should be able to build a good defense still. The bad news is if he does that, it's even more likely he'll be gone next year.
Yeah, there's a lot more eyes now. It's okay, let's see what happens when the pressure unfolds. It's kind of like the opposite of Purdy when all those weapons went down and Purdy kind of crumbled, declined. But when Robert Saleh loses his best player, he's I'm still able to mitigate this loss. And I kind of go back to when Kyle Shanahan had his exit press conference to 2024 when they announced the decision to let go of Nick Sorensen. He talked about we have to have someone that adapts because not everything's going to go right. We're going to lose players because they lost Bosa. They lost several key players at some point last season on the defense, and Sorensen never adjusted. And he cited, I think that was the underlying tease of why they're going to go Saleh, because he cited Saleh's 2020 defensive efforts by adjusting his plan. He lost Bosa, he lost so many players, and yet somehow he changed the identity for being a suffocating pass rush to a blanket lockdown coverage secondary. So I'm very curious, is like which way is he going to go about it? He's going to copy and paste what he did in 2020? He could do that. You have Delamodor Lenore, who's barely getting targeted. He's pretty phenomenal. You got Renardo Green, who's sturdy. And Upton Stout, who just had the pass breakup to pretty much win you the game. You have the pieces in place. Now you don't have the safeties in place, so maybe that gets a little picked on. That's where you're going to be like picked on. But you do have the secondary in place. And I just think first and foremost, they're gonna have to try to look to see how it's gonna look like with your pass rushers, and before you start swinging that full on identity to secondary coverage.
And I feel like the D line has to find a new identity now. Like, let's start with Mykel Williams. He's been playing a lot of D tackle because you have Bosa and Bryce Huff, but they really drafted him to play D end, and they were talking about how putting him in the wide 9 could really unlock his skill set. I think he's a great run defender no matter where you put him. But now I think there's a little bit of pressure on Mykel to show something as an edge rusher and to play more D end, because that's where they need him now. I mean, they have Kalia Davis, Jordan Elliott, Alfred Collins, Sebastian Valdez. They have bodies in the interior, but they're really hurting for defensive ends unless they add one. And we're going to talk about that later in the show. It's a possibility, but they don't seem like they want to spend a lot of money anymore. So Mykel, be nice if you could be Alden Smith or Nick Bosa. We'll settle for Nick Bosa.
Yeah, they'll probably start kicking him out a little more on passing downs just to kind of give that flexibility. I still think that you're going to see like a good moderate usage on pass rushing downs just to get him in the inside, because that just the way I just think he's going to have better matchups against guards. There's how many great guards out there versus great tackles, and then I don't think Michael Williams necessarily has like that great speed. He has that good get off speed, right, that they love, but I don't think he has that great like, I'm just going to like rip and go under and swim move you, and I'm going to get through. Like, not to say he's not slow, but it's clear that what makes him elite, or what's going to make him elite if he continues on his trajectory, is his power, his violence. I keep writing over and over again. Every time I talk about him, I'm like, this guy is violent. He's chaos. He's a war zone and an embodiment of a human being. Like, you just bring him out there and he's just wrecking everything from the run game to the pass. But again, it's like, how is that going to work? How much of credit is his performance given to what Bosa's been doing by generating that attention? Because now your offense is like, all right, cool, Bosa's not gone. Now all we do is worry about this rookie. He's a monster, but we can stop him from getting in his groove by doing this and that. And Bryce Huff, like, we just got to chip him because he's too fast. I think they probably might swing the coverage the protection towards Huff, because he's so darn fast. And if you just get him off that burst, if the tackle's there and you just chip him, all right, cool, slow down. Now we got everything else. Mykel Williams, time for you to really hit on your first round investment, bud.
I'm curious to see if Bryce Huff in particular, plays more snaps. Is he going to start now? Are they going to ask him to do more, or do they feel comfortable with him only in that one role? And I'm looking for his snap count from yesterday. Okay. He played, hold on, game log. How many snaps did you play yesterday? I want to know. Okay.
26.
Snap counts. 36.
Oh, God.
So still not a ton, although more than 50%. I wonder if Robert Saleh doesn't feel comfortable using him more. Maybe they'll use Yetur Gross-Matos more, although he's not practicing.
Yeah, they kind of have a weird deal with him. I wonder if he's playing. I wonder if Yetur is actually still injured, and by like keeping him away from practice, from like doing unnecessary movements, that's like, I can see a situation with Yetur is like, hey, you either need some type of surgery that knocks you out for most or all the season, or we can just not practice you and you play on Sundays and you give us 14 snaps. I kind of feel like that's what he's doing right now, right? Agree. Like, that's like, that's interesting. But Bryce Huff, I guess it depends, like, how much do you can count on him as a run defender? Because imagine you start increasing his snaps in terms of if you're going to put him out there on run defense, because that's really where you're going to see his true uptick. I think offenses are going to try to run at him. Like, you're going to try to run at him, but as soon as, let's test him. There's a reason why he's a pass rushing specialist, because he's so fast and he's great at that. And he's like, whatever, as a run defender. So I think if you're solid, like, can I trust this guy to be out there? He's not going to have remotely the same impact as Bosa as an edge, as a defensive end against the run. But can I trust him to do it out there? Because I think if you're an offense, let's trust him, because we're not gonna run towards Mykel Williams anymore. We're gonna run towards Bryce Huff, the pass rushing specialist.
Yeah, and even if he holds his own as a run defender, which I'm not sure he would, it would take so much energy and effort that it would slow him down as a pass rusher, which is the last thing you want to do. Part of the reason the Niners will be able to close out these games is that he's still fresh in the fourth quarter. John B says Niners are injured every year. Football gods hate us. Or it's football and players get hurt. But yeah, we're going to talk about whether this is more than bad luck in a second, what the Niners can do, should do. Izzy G says trade for Garrett. I know he's not talking about Myles Garrett. How does Bosa's injury impact the season for the Niners? They're undefeated. They have an easy schedule. I don't know if they were thinking that they might be Super Bowl contenders this year, but if the defense was elite, they'd be contenders. Now, I don't know. Like, what have you adjusted your expectations?
Well, not really, because I always expect them to be like a 10, maybe 11 win team, get in the playoffs and get exit in the first round, maybe the second round. But given the way it's looking, I just think how I see it, and not in terms of what the finish point, the finish line is going to look like for the 49ers, because they're definitely not, they were never going to or even winning the Super Bowl to me, even with like the way everything was looking on the up and up. I just think what's actually changes is, say Micah Williams, Bryce Huff, they're struggling to step it up because now the offenses are going to pick on them with Bosa gone. You know, Saleh can't really adjust to that blanket coverage that he did in 2020 because he either doesn't have the players or people know that. How I think this impacts them is now, hey, offense, be the strength of the team that we expected you to be, because so far through 3 games, who the hell thought the defense was going to look this stout? I didn't think so. I thought it was going to be like Saleh said, hey, buckle up. And I think Saleh's surprised too. Like, I don't think he fully expected the defense to look this good. And now with Bosa out, you definitely have been taken down a peg. So now it's like, hey, offense, we need you to score some points. This 16-point nonsense of going back and forth, this is not going to cut it. We give us some breather, especially in the first month, the first few games without Bosa, so they can learn how to adjust, learn to see who's going to step up. We need some points to get some breathing room, because first of all, we're going to be doing a learning curve. And number 2, we're probably never going to be able to shrink the hole even remotely with Bosa gone. So I think, to me, it's just offense. It's time for you to step up. And I think it works perfectly with Purdy coming back, with Demarcus Robinson. You're getting closer and closer to George Kittle, to Brandon Ayuk. Ricky Pearsall is looking like a freaking stud. I just think more pressure now is on the offense. And I think now it's just, hey, go back to our preseason expectations versus what's been going on the last 3 seasons. I mean, the last 3 weeks is for you guys to now step it up and carry the load.
I feel like this is going to, if they make the playoffs, this could really affect them if they face good teams in the playoffs. The
Philly.
Eagles, the Packers. But right now, like on their schedule right now, how many games would you say they would have won with Bosa that they won't win? Like, I still think they'll beat the Jaguars. I mean, they'll probably have a tough time against the Rams and the Bucks without Bosa. Those are 3 games. But the Falcons should still be a win. The Texans suck. The Giants suck. The Cardinals, they just beat them. The Panthers suck. The Browns have no offense. The Titans suck. The Colts, maybe the Colts beat them because Bosa isn't there. But I mean, the Bears we'll see, and the Seahawks we'll see. I mean, they did need Bosa to beat the Seahawks week 1. So down the stretch, it could be tough without Bosa. And then in the playoffs, it could be tough without Bosa.
That Browns one is a sneaky one too, because they just beat the Packers. Micah Parsons at the front. Like, if the Browns suck in the skill positions, they are great in the trenches on both sides, especially defensively, obviously. But
yeah, that's true.
I didn't hear much of Micah Parsons or any of their pass rushers do much of a takeover game, and that's with the statue at quarterback and Joe Flacco. I think that one's going to hurt a little bit, but maybe the blanket coverage the secondary will be able to hold up, and the linebackers will make up for that. Yeah, I just think I could see probably an extra loss or 2 there, because it's just this is Nick Bosa. I think we just can't imagine how Bryce Huff and Micah Williams could potentially decline because of his impact, and they probably don't. Maybe they don't. Maybe they look this good and maybe even better. But I just think because Nick Bosa is such a great player, he's easily one of the top 5 defensive players in the league, and that now you do it without him, it just uncorks everything. I mean, look, for the last 2 years, the Niners have, not even since D Ford's been gone, since 2019, they've struggled to have much of a pass rush without Bosa. They haven't had that. They haven't had the Robin to his Batman. So now who's going to be that? Is that Michael Williams? That's what they drafted him for, right? And then Bryce Huff to be that specialist. But I'm just not. I'm very skeptical. I would have to see it to believe it, to actually envision it, because he's just so impactful player that I just feel like everything's just gonna really like have that nice little steep decline at first, and it's gonna be tough sledding.
If they miss the playoffs because they don't, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how they respond emotionally to this injury, because I feel like they've had a ton of injuries this year, but they keep telling themselves like, well, no one's out for the year. They're all coming back. We're keeping our head above water. I mean, we're undefeated. This is going to be okay. And now you lost one of arguably your best player for the year. So last time this happened, they went 6-10. They know that. Like, how do they respond to this one? I just don't know. I guess we'll see. I don't know.
We'll say that
if they miss the playoffs, like, do you feel sorry for them? Do you give them a pass?
Yes and no, because again, if they get to the playoffs without, I think if they get to the playoffs without Bosa, it looks a little more impressive, because it's like I expect you to get there with him. Without him, it's like, oh god. Because look, do they win that week 1 game against Seattle without Bosa? Probably not, because he's the one that clinched it, and he's also the one that forced some plays. Like, it just shows that now. I just want to see, when you're in those close games, what's going to happen now? What's going to happen now when you're on defense in those close games? New Orleans, Seattle, because the talk I've been having is, hey, the 2024 49ers do not win any of these 3 games. The 2025 49ers do. And largest part is because of the defense. And one of them is because of Bosa in the end, the clutch guy, your clutch gene. You put your Kobe or Jordan on in the end, your Curry on, you go for the bust, you go for the kill, the jugular. You lose one of those guys now. You still have Bryce Huff who's there, but come on, Bryce Huff versus Nick Bosa. I understand he's been flashing, but it's like, it's just, I just think, like, yeah, if it doesn't go to the playoff, that's what's really going to kill them. You're going to see a lack of a pass rush. It's going to be difficult. But if there's anyone I'm confident in getting around this, it's Saleh, because number one, we've seen it. We've seen him get around this and actually have a very fine defense in 2020. And given the way that the defense looked in the first 3 games, with a bunch of rookies and second-year players and first-time starters, he just has a way to really to speak to these guys, to put them in position, to scheme them up and put them in a way where they can flourish and just be talents and not think. So if there's any confidence anyone can have, it's just, thank God they have Robert Saleh now. And like you said, like a moment ago, if Saleh thrives again with the defense without Bosa, you got to tell them, like, hey, we'll give you a new contract and hire and give you more money to keep you, because please don't go. We can't do this without you.
I think it's funny how coming into this season, the Niners were like, you know what, it could be rough. You know, we could take some lumps. We got a lot of young guys playing, and we don't know what to expect. But you know what? We got our core. And as long as we got our core, we'll be okay. But what's funny is, like, 3 games into the season, the young guys are good. The young guys are kind of carrying the team, and the core is injured. Kittle, Bosa, Ayuk, Jennings, out. Now, Brock, out. Now, some of them are coming back, but it's interesting how your core of veterans can age quickly in the NFL, and you really don't want a core of 30-year-olds. You want guys who are in their early 20s, which the Niners have, thank goodness.
Yeah, and I think that's why they're forcing all these rookies and young players to play now this year, right? Because they realize, like, yo, we sucked in 2022, 2023 draft, that we have no choice but to not only keep our picks. Remember, they kept all their picks from this year's draft. It's like they were so desperate for young bodies. What do they have? Like 5 rookies they're starting or utilizing on their defense, so they can fast forward and expedite to get that new core. I think because they kind of acknowledge what you just said is, like, we have too many of these 28, 30 plus year olds who are up there in age and battered down, that we need these guys to start stepping up. And it's, God, like, I was thinking about it today, and I tweeted about it, is early knee-jerk reaction is the 2025 draft class, like, already, if not getting close to being better than the 2024 draft class. Because remember, this time last year, it was like, wow, they finally have a solid draft class. Dominic Pooney didn't expect him to start. Starting guard. Malik Mustafa starting to step up. Bernardo Green looks solid. And you had question marks with, obviously, Pearsall dealing with his injuries and unfortunate incident. Jacob Cowing's gone. Like, this year now we have 5 rookies on the defense. And now if Connor Colby becomes an actual decent starter this year, then that's 6. Wow. I mean, yeah, I think 2025 is looking better. And I think right now they have a reason to start feeling proud about themselves with how they're getting with these guys.
Kilo TW, I'm going to take some of these super chats out of order because I want to be topical, but I'm going to hit all of them. Kilo TW says, looks like Saleh won't be able to save Kyle Shanahan this season. Let's see what this Shanahan offense is really made of. Yeah, I mean, we keep talking about like what Salah needs to do to make up for the loss of Bosa. There's only so much he can do. It won't be as good of a defense without him that it was with him. It should still be good though because of Salah and Fred Warner and Diamond Lenore and Michael Williams, Bryce Huff. They still have good players. The offense has a lot of good players too. A lot of highly paid players who are coming back from injury like nowish. They should be able to like pick up the slack. That was always supposed to be the idea this year, right? I mean, no one expected the defense to actually carry the team this year, right? Even though it did for the first 3 weeks. So,
Got your money tied up there. Got your money tied up there. I want to see results.
Should the Niners trade for a defensive end? The trade deadline is about a month away. They're undefeated. It'd be a shame to feel like you're one player away and not have that D end. But at the same time, they're usually expensive. I don't know. What do you think? How aggressive would you be here?
Not right now. I don't think you trade for him right now. You can't do that. I mean, not you can't do that, but I just think just to pump the brakes a little bit. I feel like that's a little too reactionary. I don't like react. I'm personally never for reacting when you're in a coming from a desperate place with bad news. So I think for one, breathe. Let's see how this next week goes. Because first and foremost, no matter who you acquire, that hole's not going to get shrunk much. I don't care if you get a Trey Hendrickson or a Cam Jordan. I don't care who's out there. You're not going to shrink the hole significantly that much. And second of all, I just think let it play out. Wait till the deadline gets closer. Because it's about a month away, right? It's like October 20th or something like that, or November 9th, whatever the two cases maybe. It's usually like week 7, 8, right? 9, whatever in that frame. So I'd say about a month. You have a month to start gauging like how confident are we with this group, and then how many wins can we get? I think that's huge critical point to see where you're coming from. And then for now, not only that, you also get time to really scout the league to see, okay, what teams are starting to get out of it. What teams are starting to be out of the playoff race, what teams look stinky, what teams are trying to shed some contracts, what teams trying to like get rid of these players. Because obviously the reason why Hendrickson is the one, because he's on a 1-year deal, and with Burrow out, the Bengals are essentially, they're essentially dead. They're not going to go anywhere. So then maybe in 3-4 weeks it gets cheaper. Same thing with Cam Jordan and the Saints. I get all these guys; they'll be helpful. But again, let's just see how many more games they can win. Let's see who steps up, and let's see if there's other defensive ends out there that they can probably bring in. That's not necessarily a big name that can be like, this is a decent name. For example, Bryce Huff wasn't a big name, but they acquired him, right? And he cost a mid-round pick. I know obviously he's having his salary picked up, but it's like, hey, a mid-round pick. That's because pass rushes are a premium. So if you're gonna get one of those guys, like you're definitely giving up a first. And I don't think I'm kind of tired of this all-in thing that you guys keep doing. I think this is the year. For anything, you kind of abstain until you see there actually are some options out there for you to take advantage of. But right now, do not do it. Closer it gets the deadline, you get to see who steps up. You get to see about how you can project your team better. And then if there's more options out there than these top-end studs who are going to cost you so much. Because right now, I don't know what names who can actually just be like for a measly 4th-round pick that can actually give you solid impact in the short term.
I mean, we'll have a better idea in a few weeks. To your point, one team I'm looking at is the Giants. They kind of suck, and they have a good D-line. Yeah, so like the Niners traded for Chase Young a couple years ago, and he didn't work out. But the idea is like, why don't you trade for a rental, a guy who's not too expensive because he's on his rookie deal, and then you can figure out whether you want to re-sign him after the year or not. What about like Kayvon Thibodeau? They also have Burns. They have Abdul Carter. They have like an excess of edge rushers. They're awful as a team. He's in his 4th or 5th year. Like, if they don't want to bring him back, if they want to get a pick for him, maybe the Niners will be willing to trade for another rental if they're really good. I mean, maybe you don't want to give up on this season or at least try to maximize it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I couldn't even think of that because
someone not too expensive. Not Trey Hendrickson. That guy's super expensive.
No, it's super expensive because probably the Bengals are going to look for the farm, and then also, he's cost too much. He cost too much. So, come on. I think the problem with that is like another reason why you can't go for some of these other guys who are going to cost so much and these picks. It's like it's run your rental. We picked up all these defensive linemen for a reason, the young guys, so we can actually start hitting on return on investment. Let's start seeing what they can do, flourish, and give them those opportunities. So like you said, it has to be someone who's just for this year. That's not going to necessarily interrupt so much of what's needed of Michael Williams, Alfred Collins, CJ West in terms of their reps and snaps that they need. Because if you're bringing in someone like a Hendrickson, they're gonna need to play a lot, right? Because it's like, hey, we give all this guy to this guy. We're gonna not play him, right? And that could probably take away some adequate snaps from and growth from Michael Williams or other players. I think that's another way you gotta try to, like, if you're a 49ers, you want to think about, because these things do matter. It's not just about like what's happening this year. And I think they've already kind of acknowledged like Super Bowl is not on our mind, which maybe that's why they're kind of contesting on these games for once, because they're not looking ahead, they're looking in the now. But yeah, you just do not break the bank. A third mid-round pick, depending if you guys are projecting to still look good, I'm all for it. And if they don't have anyone stepping up.
Dardar proposes the following trade: Mac Jones and a day 5 pick. They do have 5 days of the draft for Trey Hendrickson.
Okay, the day 5 pick. Mac, I would not trade Mac Jones because Brock Purdy is probably gonna get hurt again, and he's clearly a serviceable starter. And he gives them an element that they don't give a Purdy, which is the long ball and all that. And like, yeah, they don't give him that. Purdy doesn't. You don't have that element with Purdy, and with Jones, if Purdy gets hurt again in 6 weeks, cool. Jones, we know we can still win. No, don't get rid of Jones because we're not gonna give the starting reins and backup positions to Adrian Martinez, who's barely been here for a cup of coffee.
All right, we got another proposed trade from Cliff V3. Says Eric McCoy and Carl Granderson from the Saints for 2 seconds and a third. We need a better tip of the spear on O-line. Let's do this sooner rather than later. The Saints are truly awful and could be sellers at the deadline. An offensive lineman would be kind of nice.
Yeah, but where's he going to start?
I mean, as good as Jake Brendel is,
I think they're fine with Brendel, man. They're just going to keep him there. It's just
Brendel's going to be on this team in 5 years.
Probably, yeah.
Sean says Bosa is officially out of Hall of Fame, out of big money extension, and insignificant as it relates to the future. He is now officially injury prone. Bad timing for his guaranteed money. Interesting. We're going to talk about what's next for him in a minute. Kilo, we got you. Araceli Carrillo, $2. Mason says medical staff got to be working for the Rams. Okay, a lot of stuff here. Let's talk about the medical staff. I see this a lot. Niners got to get a new medical staff, new training staff. They've had the same trainer. Their head trainer, Dustin Perry, has been in the organization since 2017. So I don't know if he's the common denominator. I feel kind of bad. I mean, I ask for Kyle Shanahan to get fired all the time, and I don't feel bad about that. That man has a wife and kids. But like trainers and stuff, I feel kind of bad. Like I don't really even know. And I'm a football expert, obviously. So how do you feel? Should we blame the training staff?
On this specific injury? No. I mean, come on, man. Like so. Maybe it's because like even without my experience of tearing my ACL, I don't know how you don't prepare for that. If it's soft tissue, like your soft tissue issues, I definitely 100% like, I think that's fair and valid questioning, critique, no matter how like smart or illogical they sound, no matter what. I'm always fair for that type of critique and questioning, because that's really what they're really looking at, right? Like the hamstrings, the quads, the calves, you know, anything like soft tissue, right? Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, I was thinking about the other day. I was like, your focus specifically about like trainers, like their warm-ups. What about their wind down time? Because that's important too. And you don't get to see that. That's true. Again, maybe I'm getting perspective because like when I'm playing in my leagues, my sports, I do an extensive warm up and I'm great. But what I don't do is I don't have a good wind down. And I'm stiffer for longer, and then that translates to days later. So
true.
I think the wind down is just as important, if not more important. But I digress. In this specific stance, no.
I go to Orange Theory a lot because I'm a serious athlete, and we always stretch at the end of. We don't stretch before, we stretch after. At Orange Theory.
Yes. So static stretching after. I always mess this up. I do both. I do dynamic and static before, which is stupid. You don't do that, and then you're trying to like confuse your muscles. That's how. Yeah. So don't static before. You got to do like little like dynamic
because they're cold. Because they're cold, right? You don't want to do. You want to warm them up with dynamic and okay, all right.
Yeah, and then after then it's like stretch them out because it relaxes. Like cool, like get all the little knots out. But in this specific sense for ACL, like nah, man, that's just a freak accident. You can never like account for that. It's just it sucks. It just really sucks. Now I don't even think it had anything to do with the double team, but
I have a theory, and I'm not saying it's 100%. This is the reason why Bosa got hurt or why the Niners have injury issues, but it does seem like a lot of their injuries happen early in the season. And maybe I mean, there's exceptions, but I feel like a lot of time Bosa's first injury happened early in the season. Jimmy tore his ACL early in the season. Jimmy hurt his ankle early in the season. I feel like Kyle's a new age coach. And like a lot of new age coaches, their thought is like, let's go kind of light in training camp. Let's not get our players hurt in training camp. Let's not do like a lot of contact. Let's not play our starters in the preseason and get them to week 1 healthy. And then they get hurt quickly after that. I think the old school way of having some contact in training camp and have your starters play, you know, maybe a quarter, maybe a half, is so that they don't all get hurt right away in the regular season. And maybe you're like screwed one way or another. Maybe if you play them in preseason, they get hurt in preseason and you look stupid. But I think that's one thing they could try is more of an old school approach.
I think that makes sense because like you want to like what they say, like you want to build your calluses.
Yep.
And then Jinx, you owe me soda.
Yeah.
But look, I'm obviously like a big combat sports, mainly an MMA UFC guy. Why do they spar? Why do they like damage themselves before that and get that? Because they have to get that going, so it makes them easier to go in the fight. It's almost like kickstarting your adrenaline, right? The same way what we just said, dynamic warm up to like kickstart your adrenaline, the blood flow, open them up. And part of that they don't really get the full of that, right? I think this is where like almost goes to an NFL issue point, because I think after watching that third preseason game, get rid of the third preseason game, make it a week longer of training camp practices so these guys can actually do that. Because at this point, like, what's the third preseason game actually even doing? Just do 2, do a dress rehearsal, and then, yeah, just because the way it's going, I just think now that's almost like an NFL issue. But look, I think those specific examples you just cited, Bosa towards ACL 5 years ago, right? But that was like, I think who else got injured in that game? Jimmy, right? Jimmy. I think they all said it was the turf. Although this time we don't have the turf excuse, right? This was at home. It's just bizarre. Like, look, if it's a soft tissue, anything with muscular, anything like that, I'm always for like, yeah, training staff, like what's going on? What are you guys doing? Like, you have to really look internally, see what's going on. And maybe there's a time where it's like you guys aren't doing enough. But that's just brutal. I mean, like, that's just brutal. Like, I mean, look, last year, like Brandon Ayuk towards ACL, that wasn't the field's fault. That was Brock Purdy got him killed. I mean, no one wants to say that part, but because they don't see how much.
To me, he never really felt like he had reached peak football shape, even though it was week 7. Like, he missed the whole offseason. He never really played that well before getting injured. It felt like we were kept like waiting for him to round into shape, and then he had this catastrophic injury. I'm not saying if he had gone to training camp, he wouldn't have taken that hit, because there's a certain amount of just shit happens in football. Like, James Conner got hurt yesterday. Was he not in football shape, or did shit just happen? Like, there's a certain amount of degree of that, but it feels like the Niners, there are some patterns. And one of the patterns is that they're hurt all the freaking time. And the other pattern I seem to notice is a lot of these injuries happen early. And sometimes the Niners can withstand them, bounce back, and get healthy down the stretch. But I don't know if they will this year. We'll see.
There's definitely, I mean, like I said, he said it. Shannon said it like a month ago, right before the season even started. Like, it's something that you gotta. I mean, you have to like look at it. There's too many of these players that they weren't even able to hold many normal training camp practices because they kept having these little minor dinged up injuries to people with hamstrings or whatnot or whatever. It is like, even if this injury is unrelated, which that's what I think is with Bosa, it still always like has to like, you always have to kind of like question, like, man, it's just. What can we do to just kind of just avoid these things? But I mean, hey, look, for Bosa's sake, like every time I see like these fan accounts post him like on Twitter and stuff like that before the game, he's out there early and getting an extensive dynamic warming. That's a guy who takes perfect care of his body. It's just one of those things where you just say shit happens. The type of injury, that one was just brutal.
All right, well. Take some more super chat. Sal says, most important thing now is keeping Huff, YGM, and Samo healthy. Add depth to manage their snap count and ride out.
Probably what they will do.
And more Michael on the edge. Dardar says, Bosa has torn his ACL 3 times. He's torn his right one twice. Niners should probably be prepared for him not to be as reliable after this. Josh Wyatt says, Cam Jordan, he's 36, but they can afford him. Is he an edge rusher? Or is he another guy who like can play on the edge but would really be better?
Yeah, one of those
in the
things.
Interior.
But look, if you do that, then it's a hard one, man. Because it's like, because if you bring him in and it's, I just want to say, my whole thing is like, if you bring him in, is that going to take away anything from Michael Williams? Is that going to disrupt his usage you have envisioned for him? Or even because if this means he has to take on more, I'm all for it, because he's the first round pick. You have to like he has to be an impactful player. He has been. Now it's like now I just want to see. I don't want you to acquire him, and then that's coming at the cost of Williams. You have two kind of similar players like that. You already have Williams like that. I think we're looking more at pure edge rushers. That way we can keep Williams in the inside because he does great at that on pass rushing downs. I mean, that's how Nick Bosa got that sack and against the Saints, the second to last drive, because he forced them into that. He blew up the guard. I like that matchup better for Williams. So I like pure edge rushers.
What about D Ford? I think he's available.
Bring him.
They can get
him out.
Amaya says, is postseason a done deal for Nick too? Yes.
Oh, 1,000%, man. We're September, man. The playoffs are in almost 4 months, and he should
be ready for week 1 next year.
Yeah, he should be.
He should be ready for week 1 next year. Drewish guy says, bring back Jose or Stats in place of the young duo. Man, that's hater. I feel like Stats isn't coming back. Chris Bond says, who amongst recently retired players available out of retirement for half a season? D Ford.
Can that guy even sit in a chair correctly?
Alden Smith.
His back was really bad.
Cassius Marsh.
Who's the other 49ers player? Aaron Lynch?
Jared Allen. Aaron Lynch. Remember when Aaron Lynch gained 20 pounds and we asked him about it and he said, well, my wife is pregnant and we've been eating a lot of food. Sympathy eating. He cited sympathy eating for his reason.
That guy was living the dream.
He was a good player for a minute too. DWB Studio says, next man up. He left the game and they were all right.
That's in the game. That's different.
Yeah, it was the Cardinals. But I want to give him credit. Like, he tore his ACL and he was like jumping around on the sideline, testing it out, doing high knees and stuff, walking around, being like, yeah, it's totally torn. And he's just walking around like no crutches. He's so strong that they couldn't even tell that his thing for sure was like, you have a lot of muscle, Nick. We're gonna have to do this one the new way.
That's why I thought maybe that's why I thought maybe they couldn't tell him that initial test, because if the knee doesn't move and he's so strong, and because look, I'll tell you this, like when you tear your ACL, like at least for me, it didn't really hurt. Like for 3 minutes it hurt, and you get up, it's like, oh, okay. But I think what Nick knows, because this is his third time, right, is he probably doesn't feel the stability, and maybe there was a little pain. So you lose that stability, it's like, oh no, because your ACL is pretty much goes diagonal in your knee, I believe, and that controls your rotation, your pivoting. So when you lose that, and you're able to walk, it's actually normal. But I'm sure today's not able to walk. I'm sure that swelling kicked in, because that's when the swelling starts to. The later it gets, the more swelling comes in. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh yeah, I'm screwed.
Yeah, I'm screwed. Yeah, he knew right away. He's experienced with this injury. Double B Studio says, again, every year I say trade him. This is why. Well, I think it's not going to happen. The offense was off the field too fast, says Double B Studio. All right, so here's the big question we haven't addressed yet. What are we expecting from Nick Bosa when he returns? As people have mentioned, he's torn his ACL 3 times, the right one twice, the left one once. He is now 27. He turns 28 in October, which means next year he'll essentially be 29 years old. What do you think?
I'm honestly not too worried, to be honest, because number one, we've seen him come back from it, right? He looked exceptional in 2021. I'm honestly not too concerned. I think because I will say, I think the one thing I'm curious about is he technically didn't. I don't think he technically fully completely tore his right ACL. He just partially tore it in high school. So I'm wondering, like, did they require that to be repaired? Like in terms of, did they use his own tissue? Did they use? Because the thing about when you completely tear your ACL, they take a part of you, right? They'll take a sliver of your PCL. They call it the gold standard. That's what every athlete does. It goes down the middle. Or the secondary, the 1B or the B option, is they take a part of your quad tendon and they'll take a small sliver of that. And then sure enough, 9 to 12 months later, it's identical. So I'm wondering, like, do they have to take out his hamstring now? Because if you already used your PCL and quad tendon, I'm not sure they can do that again. Maybe they could. But if they take out his hamstring, that's like it goes PCL, quad, a gap, ACL, fat gap, cadaver, which cadaver, they're not giving him cadaver. I just ultimately I'm not worried.
Is stunting on you guys right now. I am so impressed with your knowledge on this, but you did tear your ACL.
I did tear my ACL. I had to make sure I was like that's honestly, that's why I'm not worried. I'm not too, when players tear the ACL now and they come back, I'm not too concerned as much anymore, because it's like, number one, my example, like oh damn, I feel good. And then number two, they have millions of dollars of people caring for them. And it's like, wow, they're definitely going to be good. And Bosa had experience with this. the injury I do get freaked out for a lot of players, and I think people experience that I've known in person. It's like coming from Achilles is harder than an ACL. I think that's like consensus I've had experience from just reading, from seeing players, also how they come back, and then just So ACL, I'm not overly concerned with him. Again, same knee, he knows what he's doing. I think it'll probably be slow at first, but I think knowing him, with all the carry, like he'll come back and still be almost the same type of beast he was.
That's what he did last time. He didn't miss in fact, he was better after he tore his ACL.
Yeah,
he had his
weird,
best years, and then he got paid. So if he comes back, bounces back, has a good year or two, he'll get paid again. It's just kind of interesting how the Niners, like, this contract has been a freaking disaster. I mean, you want to have Nick Bosa on your team, but you can't say that they've actually gotten a good return on their investment. They got like 19 sacks in what's going to be 3 years. It's rough.
I think the only part where they're not hitting full ROI is just when he's not available. Because aside from the numbers, I still believe like he's still very impactful.
Yeah,
I think that's the one thing you just hate. It's like dude, he's not like that's the number one thing that hurts. Because even like say like the impact is like 25% less than what he is. That not being of best ability is availability, right? And for him not being out there, we don't pay him to sit on the sidelines or sit in the booth and watch us play. We pay him to be on that field and do something. And now he's not out there. That's my money gripe. It's just, but I can't hold this against him, because we saw his impact even last year when he came out with the hip, the oblique, whatever it was, and Geno Smith goes on to score that game-winning touchdown against the 49ers at home. He's just, I think that goes back to even our earlier topics. Just like, are we sure Bryce Huff, Mike Williams are gonna be okay? Maybe they will. Maybe they won't.
I'm glad you brought up Bosa's injuries from last year. I mean, it just seems like in football, it's such a unforgiving sport, and especially for older players. Once you start getting hurt, a lot of times you don't stop, and you don't really know when that line gets crossed by a player. And so Bosa, he had that injury last year. Like, it's a fluke, he'll be fine. And then he goes down week 3. It's like, well, damn, maybe the signs were there last year. Like, maybe this is just the beginning of the slow, long end for him. Who knows? Or maybe this is just another fluke. But last year he was hurt for like half the year, played through some of it. Now it's a serious injury. Yeah. Do you think he's if this were a career-ending injury, which it's not, and he never played again, would he be a Hall of Famer?
Oh, probably not.
I don't think so.
Probably not, because what is that then? He only played 2019, 2021, 22, 23. Nope. You can't give him 4 years, 4.5 years, because essentially, or I guess 4 years and a third, for the third being 2024. And then, no, you can't do that. He'd just be, no.
193 people in NFL history have more sacks than him.
Yeah, no, you just can't. I think he's going to be one of those people like, what could have been? He's going to be one of the top 20 people in the NFL. Like, what could have been? Like, what would have happened? All this stuff.
Like, he has 65 sacks. Von Miller has 131.
Yeah, he wouldn't.
Cam Jordan has 123. They should go get Cam Jordan.
They should. I mean, dude, before I knew it, like, how was it 35-3 at halftime? I was like, what? Like,
yeah.
What just happened?
Hey, the Saints are done. You can stop wasting Cam Jordan's, and he went to Cal.
Oh, yeah, he did. I forgot about
He's
that.
Been in the league a long time, since 2011. Calais Campbell on the field yesterday. That was incredible. He's been in the league since you were in middle school.
I don't know. Wasn't? Wait.
He was drafted in 08.
Oh, I was in middle school. Oh, crap.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Oh my God,
yeah.
That guy is a baller. Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot. Honestly,
and he really affected the game.
Yeah, I think one thing about what's clear about the Niners' offensive line is like they're fine at pass pro until you're going to come out against monstrous fronts. So I'm thinking Eagles. Oh my God. I'm thinking Rams. Probably. Oh my God. Browns. Oh my God. Because like the Cardinals, one thing that always stood out to me in the offseason, I'm not sure I was paying close attention. They made a concerted effort to boost their pass rush because I think they were bottom 5 or 10 in pass rushing stats and just overall impact. And then our boy Donnie Drew, who covers the Cardinals, said like, yeah, their pass rush was very unattractive. And they just went out. Let me get Josh Sweat. Let's bring back Calais Campbell. Let's draft this guy because even though I know the guy they drafted, what is it? Who was the guy from Ole Miss?
Walter
Nolan. Yeah, Walter Nolan. I know he's not there, but the point is, like, the idea was there. The idea was there to do all this stuff. So I'm pretty sure if the idea was there from personnel standpoint, it's there from schematic and just coaching and just it was felt, because God, imagine if Mac Jones held on to the ball as long as he did against the Saints. This would have been terrible.
All right. Well, let's take a brief pause to do some prize picks because this has been a very emotional, heavy show. And prize picks is going to provide the levity that we need. So do you want to do tonight's game or do you want to check out the Niners?
No, do tonight's game.
Tonight's game? Okay. Baltimore, Detroit. What are you thinking? Jared Goff, Lamar Jackson, Jahmyr Gibbs. A lot of good players.
I'm very biased because I technically have Jared Goff and Jameson Williams in my fantasy team tonight.
I have Jameson Williams too. Let's start with Jameson. No, he's not here.
I need them to go to the moon if I want any chance of winning.
All right, Jameson Williams.
Ship,
he's
baby.
a boomer bust dude. 49.5.
Give me higher. Give me more.
Ugh. Okay. You feeling confident about him? I don't even start him anymore.
Wait, is that 49.5 receiving yard? Oh, definitely more, brother.
Definitely.
Because
he's only going to catch like 2 passes.
Williams, he's either going to go explode to the moon or the train's going to stop at the first stop.
That's true. Okay, what about Sam Laporta? 46.5 receiving yards.
Give me under because Kyle Hamilton's going to lock him up.
Less. We play less here on Prize Picks.
Excuse me, less.
What about Amon-Ra? 72.5.
Sun God.
Sun God.
Take more.
More?
Not a big fan of Ravens.
What about Derrick Henry? He got absolutely shut down last week.
Oh my God, I am hoping for less. So let's go less because I'm playing him too. This is a full-on bias bet.
Are you facing him? He's on my team.
Yes. Oh God, screw your team.
86.5. Ooh. Okay, we'll take less. We'll take less just for you. And then Lamar. Where's Lamar?
Lamar.
Passing yards. Should we do rushing yards for Lamar or passing yards? Ooh, what about this one? The 195. Should we take that? The 197?
Is that passing or rushing? Obviously passing.
Passing yards. It seems like I don't know what it is.
Give me more.
Mas. Okay, we'll do that. Those are our picks. Check them out. Boom. And what? Do I not have enough money? Max 10. Boy. What happened? $6. 200.
Being a degenerate is expensive.
Man, I gotta talk to Prize Picks. Tell them to re-up.
This is a full-on objective parlay pick, by the way.
Oh, max $10. Sorry, I don't know why they did that. There, boom, max $10. Huh? Okay, just learn something. Submit the lineup. Download the app yourself. Use promo code Cohn COHN. Play $5. Get $50 instantly in lineups. The app is available in 45 states, including California and Texas, which are big states. Super chats. Mac 10 says all day, every day, Kim. Okay. Double B Studio says trade Bosa for a first-round pick. Isn't it cool how you got Glock Purdy and Mac 10? That's the quarterback controversy.
That's funny. That's a good one, actually. Yeah.
And you got AR-15 in Indianapolis, but he's terrible.
You don't get that nickname if you can't play. The man took himself out of a game because he was tired last year. That was already like, dude, that was enough. Over.
And now he's making Daniel Jones look great. Well, Daniel Jones is making Daniel Jones look great. Double B Studio says trade Bosa for a first-round pick. A little late for that one. Double B Studio says, Grant, donate some of your tendon, get half his check.
I don't think it's his tendon that tore.
I don't think. Yeah. Kevin Gwynn says, Huff, Winters stepping up. Solid a team. Make Kyle OC. Need a leader of men. This is a defensive team. That was a nice little haiku. I liked it. Jewish guy says cadaver is the best because it's an Achilles tendon. Yeah, but someone died.
Someone else's and your body rejects it. That's why it's like not. You only get that if you're like over 40 or 50.
Interesting. All day, every day. Kim says Mac making Nick Wright look right.
What's he been saying? What's your best friend been saying? What's our best friend? Because he gave me love too once upon a time.
He did. That Brock's assistant quarterback. Double B says they should trade for Armstead and Buckner. Double B says juice for pass rush since offense don't need him. He scored a touchdown. Sal says Bosa contract. Bosa contract has an out after 2026. Have to believe the Niners take a hard look given the cost cutting they've done. After 2026, huh?
You know what? I'm not co-signing that, but I will say like there was an article, I don't remember who wrote that the 49ers were not a fan of that contract. And then obviously it got exponentially worse with Ayuk's contract. They really hated that contract, but they didn't like the whole they got took for a spin with Bosa, even though it was kind of worth it, but they didn't like that. So that's
does seem like there's a potential out after 2026. I think these Yorks don't like to feel that they're overpaying for a player. And I think that was the issue with Jimmy. Was Jimmy bad? No, but he was clearly overpaid and it bothered the Niners. And so they got Trey Lance.
On a small
and then they renegotiated his contract. But I don't know. He's a giant edge. He's a Giants edge making a rumor. Who? Thibodeau?
Giants.
Grab a Giants edge, make it a rumor.
Yeah. See, say they grab Kayvon. I think Kayvon's like a little softy, a little bit. Like, it's something about him is just like he's a good player, but it's like I don't view his nature, his demeanor, maybe his personality to be a perfect fit for what the 49ers want. Like, I can only imagine, like, if Chris Caceres yelling at him, he's going to be like, I don't want to play. I feel like he's one of those because I don't know.
Yeah. Well, this is pretty bad news. Sorry, Niner fans. Kyle's going to talk at 3:30, which is about an hour and a half, and he's going to give you hope. I know you're feeling pretty down, but Kyle Shanahan understands, and he's going to make you feel a lot better about where the season is going. I can't wait for that because this ruined my day. Grant, I just transferred to UCLA. Any tips, advice? I'm Dick.
Don't go to any football games.
Any advice? What's your major?
Is there a favorite place you like around there that you used to go eat at? Give them a tip like that. Like,
I didn't really think Westwood had great. Okay, Gucci is like really good Korean barbecue, and there's a place called Bella Pita, which is really good like Mediterranean food. Other than that, they got like In-N-Out. You know, what I would say if you're like an English major, or if you're not like if you're a North Campus humanities guy, go to office hours. Otherwise, you will get a B in your class. If you want an A, you got to go to the office hours and introduce yourself. Ask the TA if they like your thesis, and they'll say yes or no, and then you'll get an A. I'm just saying that's how it works. Took me a while to figure that out. Office hours. I'm like, excuse me, I got good grades in high school. What's the problem? They're like, well, I don't know who you are. I'm like, oh, okay.
Somebody's got to kiss a little ass to get the grade, right?
Sometimes have to. Double B Studio says, can I use you as a job reference? I'm applying for Bosa's position. Sure. Slow Civic says, what happened to Jason Aponte? I saw him in Indianapolis. He's still around. He's doing his thing.
I will say, other than 49ers fans, like, I'm a little disappointed too because it's fun to watch Nick Bosa. Like, I'm a fan of watching good players. Like,
he is good.
Like, now I can't watch this team at its best state. Like, that's a bummer.
It is a bummer. Like, it's a bummer. And it's got to be so annoying to be Bosa and be like, okay, let's do this rehab again for the third time.
Oh, dude. I will say, like, that rehab sucks. It's very enraging. But also at the same time, I don't feel bad for him because he's a multimillionaire and he has help with the 49ers, so he's gonna be expedited like nothing.
Yeah. Double B Studio says, what's your opinion on tight ends in general? I'm pro tight end. I like him. Good position. I'm all about Jake Tonjes. George Kittle, I don't know. We'll have to see. He's a promising player. He's got a lot to prove. He's no Jake. Okay, that's enough. Thanks for watching, everyone. Kyle talks in an hour and a half. We'll see what he says. Thanks, Jose.